everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Short-Term Rentals with the one and only rentalpreneur, Tijani.
Was goody. Was goody.
And today we're going to talk about how to promote your listing like a pro.
Yeah.
So first of all, we need to know our market audience. So how do you target which people you want to put your listings for?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the biggest questions, and I tell people this all the time, is the question is who are you serving? And a lot of that's going to be determined by your location as well. And also what your location and also what is going on in that area. Like why would somebody travel there? So if you have a listing and you know you're by college campuses or you know you're by a medical center, yeah, that pretty much is going to speak to who you're going to serve. So when it comes to that, you have to understand that not only is it paramount that the location makes sense in relative to who you're serving, but you have to tailor your units to address them as well, right? So it's kind of goes hand in hand like that. So, but that question of who you're serving is going to answer a whole lot of other questions, especially regarding that. So that's one of the things that you have to understand. How you identify the target audience is know exactly who you're serving in that particular area that you're in. Now, one thing I like about this business model is that, you know, a lot of the marketing, which is one of the very key component in business, is marketing. If you're not marketing, you don't have a business. So part of that marketing strategy is the fact that you have to, like, everybody knows where they want to go. Like, people want to travel, yes. Then now they also know where to go to get set accommodations to travel because they need somewhere to stay as well when they travel. So places to go is OTAs, Airbnb, Booking.com. They go to VRBO. They're going to check Expedia. So your goal, your marketing strategy, is to be where the people are going. Where are they going to be at? So that's one of your main marketing strategies to get is to multi-platform. That's what we call it in the game, multi-platform. But you have to do it the right way. First of all, don't scale your business to get multi-platform if your systems ain't dialed in. And so when you get multi-platform, you got to also make sure you have a channel manager. So that way all your calendars are succinct. That's going to help your marketing strategy. So going where the people are, and then is direct marketing strategies that you can do as well to start making sure that you are building your own direct booking pipeline. Because yes, we love these OTAs. We love them. They're great. They're great. They make us money. Yes. But I like to tell people, do not succumb your business to a single point of failure situation. And what I mean by that is if you're solely dependent on the OTAs for your business, then you really, one of my good friends, Mark Sampson, he's one of the key go-to guys when it comes to direct bookings. And he says that if you don't have a direct booking database, so you're not building your direct booking pipeline, you work for Airbnb.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, in theory, you don't, of course. Airbnb is just a platform, in theory. But in a way, he's not wrong in a way, right? Because that means your business is solely contingent on Airbnb. If Airbnb, something's wrong with Airbnb, you don't have a business. Or Airbnb's not doing good, then you're not doing good. Like, so if you're not building your own direct booking pipeline, because that is the second key component of your marketing strategy.
So how do you go about building that pipeline? Would it be just like by branching out into other OTAs?
No, by building your pipeline, you have to see the way you build it is every single guest that steps foot in your property, not just the people that book, but every single guest that steps foot in your property, you need to make sure you have their name and email address at the minimum.
Oh.
In a good way, you have their phone numbers as well. But name and email address at the minimum and going straight to your own pipeline, your own database. You should be building that. That way you can retarget them to come back and book with you. I tell people, if somebody books with you on an OTA and they book with you again on that same OTA, you failed. You failed yourself, you failed your business. That person, because you have to change the way you look at every guest that you have. You have to look at them as not just a guest that's going to pay you for that stay, but they're a lead source for you. They're a lead source and they're going to get you other bookings because you're going to retarget them and they're going to refer you. That's why you want your own database.
So in other ways, I guess you're building your own email list of all the
Yes.
possible clients that you would be getting.
Absolutely.
Interesting. And now, when it comes to the listing itself now, what are some of the qualities or highlights that you put on your listing to make sure that it's unique?
So the listing itself, you know, there's the best thing to make your listing unique is, of course, your photos, right? If you're listing, the actual property itself is unique. Your listing is going to be unique. So your photo speaks a lot. Making sure that your listing actually is readable, because our attention spans is low, and if you're using words that people got to think too much about, that it's not a good thing. If you're way too wordy, you got these big paragraph that, people got to read it and they be like, oh, where did I stop at? Okay, let me pick back up. You don't want that.
You don't want the Holy Bible as your
You don't
description.
want the
Nope,
Bible.
that's way
You
too
don't
long.
want the Bible as your description. That's way too long. So all those things come into play, and people don't really realize that it could be the small nuances, the small things that matter, that play a big role, right? So you want to make sure that you have that down packed as well.
That's right. What other features do you think are really important in your listing that make your properties unique?
I mean, on your listing, in order for, are we talking about the listing or the property itself?
The property itself.
The
yeah.
property. So if your property, there are multiple ways for it to stand out, right? Multiple ways for it to stand out. I had a student that did a Versace theme unit.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? She had like this big black and gold crown chair, had a Versace wallpaper.
wow.
She did a whole, because she got like a ring light. You can do a photo shoot there. She had like all the art. Like it was a black and gold, decked out.
Oh, wow.
And it's nice. And so, when you're able to stand out like that, you know what I mean? Then people really, really gravitate to you. So theming your units is one way. You know what I mean? Theming your units, but also finding unique things and finding unique amenities that probably will be beneficial that either your competitors have or maybe your competitors don't have, right? Finding things that will be beneficial to your who, but maybe a lot of folks in your area don't have it. And that's going to allow you to stand out and really take the lion's share in that particular area.
It always comes down to thinking about your who, making sure
Yeah.
that you're proactive and putting on the shoes of your future guests
Yes.
to see what is it that I would like to have in here. you know?
Absolutely.
I also saw that there are some people, well, some other business models, they use social media as a way to market themselves. What about short-term rentals or Airbnb?
Yeah.
Do you use social media to market your list?
Yeah. You should have a social media handle for, some people do it differently. Some people have one handle for their entire portfolio, kind of like we do. We have it that way. We have our book home suites handle, so which kind of covers our management portfolio, right? But some people will have like, all right, each property is like a unique,
wow.
and they have like an Instagram account for that property. But what you'll find is that you won't find like somebody that has like a one-bedroom apartment that's doing that, or like a studio, or maybe just like an apartment, or like once 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a normal brick house. Usually when you have that, it's a unique property. It's a mansion. It's something dope about it. It's a yurt, a tent, a treehouse, a popular listing that is unique. Then it's a good idea to give it its own personality and give it its own brand, right? Because that's going to make sure that's going to beget more bookings and allow, especially with direct as well. Yes, you can get booked off Instagram.
Oh,
You
wow.
can. Oh, 100%. You showcase your listing, you have dope stuff in your listing, and people are like, man, next time I travel there, I'm going to check that spot out. That's what they're going to say. And when they want to travel, they say, oh, man, what's that one spot? Then next
Go
thing you
to
know,
their IG.
they go to your IG because they saved your post. They saved it, right? They're going to find you again. So you could definitely utilize social media. And don't shy away from also like putting a little bit of ad dollars and running some ads to your listing, right? Now, this is kind of a special, unique way that you kind of have to do it. But yeah, you can run ads to certain target audiences for your particular listing. And that's something that I would probably recommend to have, some help with, kind of more so. Running ads is a tall monster. But I would tell people, man, that's not anything that you necessarily have to worry about right now. If you take care of the basics, you'll be in pretty good shape. If you take care of everything that we've been talking about, your systems dialed in, your particular listing just on the OTAs, we should be talking about you running no ads and your systems ain't dialed in on Airbnb. You have no business worrying about ads if you struggle on the Airbnb.
Make sure that your system is right first, then.
Right.
Because that's the foundation.
100%.
So tell us about your experience when you first used social media for promoting one of your listings.
I've actually never used social media to promote a listing specifically. Like I have when I just like listed that, hey, we have a new listing up, something like that. That was pretty much the extent of it. But what we do is we just have our social media handle for our portfolio. And any like cool things that's happening in the neighborhood, we'll post it, right? We'll post when we launch a new listing. We'll post like sometimes guests will post photos and tag us. That we'll put it on our story, stuff like that. But when the people see that, it's not. That's kind of our way of people getting intrigued for our business. They say, well, who are these people? And they look at our handle, then they go to our page and you see the listings that we have, and then they start wanting to book with us. So, and then, but really, on social media, I try to make our direct booking site be like the face forward. There's no reason why, if you connect with them directly, there's no reason why they shouldn't book with you directly. So if they connect with you directly, if you connect with them directly and they book on Airbnb, to me that's like no point. If you're dialed in and you have a direct booking site, let them book directly with you. That's right. That reservation didn't come from Airbnb. That came direct. And so yeah, 100%. I mean, that's how we kind of leverage social media, and it's been working.
And I feel like it also gives you a secondary source of reviews.
Yeah.
Because you would have all of your previous guests sending pictures, posting, oh my gosh, this freaking like coffee maker was the best coffee I've ever had. Yeah. So just having those people reviews like live as a video or as a picture, I feel like if I were to be a future guest, I would look at that and be like, oh, these reviews are actually true. Because I know that in some other business models, they have people paying for certain reviews, which is totally unethical. But in the case of short-term rentals, when having people actually documenting with their phones how awesome the listing was, that makes you believe more in that
100%.
listing.
Another thing about social media too that people should keep in mind, it's important to have a social media presence for your business, at least a Facebook business page. Because that speaks to your credibility. A lot of times, especially nowadays, when you're having these conversations with landlords or you're having a conversation with people that you want to co-host from, whether it's landlords or other hosts, like they're going to want to see some credibility. Some people, especially when they're brand new, they don't have a direct booking website yet. So how else can you appear credible? Have that business page, because that's what they probably will look into you. Go ahead and create that Google business account, right? Because they probably will try to Google you to see what you're about. So make sure that you are positioning yourself from a credibility perspective too, and leverage social media to help you be more credible.
That's right. It's like any relationship that we establish in person, like even when you're meeting someone new, you immediately go, okay, let's find their social media. Let's see if this person is legit. The same happens with your business. They're always going to look you up.
Absolutely.
Now, you always mention having a really good communication with your guests. And we can definitely tell that you guys have an amazing communication social media-wise. Now, when it comes to communication within these OTAs, how do you know that too much is too much? Because you don't want to bug the guests, but at the same time, you don't want to be so cold that you don't even care about them. So what's that limit?
Yeah, I would say communicate your butt off until they get settled. Then leave them alone. They're not trying to hear from you. They're really not. Think about it. When you go stay in an Airbnb, if your host is like hitting you up consistently, for what? Like, what we do is we check on them one time the next day. If they're staying like long, like maybe 2 weeks or more, then we might touch base with them every like set week number 2. I follow up with just to make sure that they're good. That's it. And then we send out checkout instructions when they check out. Now, prior to them checking in, a lot of messages go out. Booking confirmation message, check-in instructions. We're answering questions. We've been having text conversation back and forth about the listing. We've been answering the questions that they had, and we sent the PIN codes to get you into your unit. So all that stuff, we've been communicating heavy. Then once they get checked in, they're good. And we'll let them know, like, look, we're not going to bother you in our listing, because on your listing, it asks you, what is your level of involvement as a host? It's going to ask you that on your listing. So say, hell, we always choose the option that says, we won't bother you, but we're here if you need us. That's the option that we choose all the time. So that's when you do that, then what that does is now, they don't expect you to keep reaching out to them. They expect, okay, they're going to leave us alone, but if we need someone, we'll reach out to them. And honestly, that's what guests want. Think about when you go stay in an Airbnb. That would be what you want as well.
That's right.
So yeah, that's probably what I would say. But of course, send checkout instructions too as well.
And then again, I love how you said it, that we are not going to bother you, but we're going to be there for you
Yes.
if you need us.
Yes.
And I feel like that's so reassuring for any guest because they don't want to be bothered every single second of the day.
Yeah,
but
no.
at the same time, they want to know that if they ever needed some crazy emergency, even if it's 2 in the morning, they know that they can reach out to you. That gives them that confidence.
And somebody's going to pick up the phone.
That's right. And in that case, that would be your team, right?
Yep.
Your VA team.
Yep, it ain't me.
And now, when it comes to the listing, you mentioned how you include that little portion. We're not going to bother you. We're going to be there for you. What other things do you include on that listing? Do you include some restaurants or some other cool things that they could check out in the area?
Well, you can't put like restaurants on the listing itself, but on your guidebook you can.
Oh.
And Airbnb has its own kind of guidebook system, but I don't use their guidebook system. We use our own guidebook system. We like Hostfully for our guidebook system. So they get that guidebook link whenever we send out the check-in instructions. They get that link as well for the guidebook. And the guidebook has all the pertinent information: Wi-Fi instructions, check-in instructions, access, directions, and then another very key component is recommendations. Things to do in the city, places to eat, things like that. So, and if you're going to do that, it's probably a very good idea to build relationships and network with the restaurants around your property. Say that, hey, we got people that's going to be coming here from out of town. We got units. We would love to recommend your restaurants, and they really listen to us when they come eat. So, would it be great if somebody can show you proof that they're one of my guests? Would you give them a discount for staying for eating with you guys? Even if it's 10%, whatever the case may be. And it's usually always a great move because you're bringing them business that they would not otherwise have had. And if you're savvy enough, you can actually negotiate a rev share with that restaurant as well. Say, hey, give me a little bit of kickback for business that I'm bringing you that you would not have had. You know what I mean?
Right, a little bit of commissions right there.
Just a little bit of kick. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of commission right there. So, you know, you could position yourself, which is going to speak to other ways to generate additional income with every guest that checks in outside of just the reservation money, right? So, yeah, 100%. We love leveraging restaurants. We love building relationships with restaurants. We love highlighting great places to eat for our guests because it's only going to help your reviews. And what you'll find is sometimes in reviews, they'll say, oh, thank you so much for that recommendation. Or they'll say in the reviews, man, try this place. We love this place to eat. And they'll say that in a review as well because you recommended it.
And that speaks really well of you as a host because now future guests that are looking on Airbnb for your listing, they're going to be like, this host, he actually cares about me. He
100%.
actually cares about where I'm going to eat even.
Yes.
He even puts like places for me to eat around me. This is awesome. Any last recommendations that you could give us so we can promote our listings the best way possible?
I mean, everything that we talked about is very, very key, right? And I would say for folks who are looking to get into this business, or maybe you already host, don't be afraid to think outside the box. In terms of getting more eyes on your listing, don't be afraid to think outside the box. And I know we talk about a lot of OTAs, but think about OTAs that I like to consider in the secondary market OTAs. These are OTAs that aren't as popular, but still are really good, right? So research, because there are tons of OTAs. There's tons of places you can list your property. We didn't even talk about Furnish Finder. You know, there's weed-friendly OTAs like 420, B&B, or what's the other one? Bud and Breakfast, right?
Wow.
Yeah, these are real sites that you can list your property on. You know what I'm saying? There's all kind of sites, right? There's New York B&B for our urban guests. There's Mr. B&B, which is like, you know, gay friendly. Like there's a lot of other kind of more niche down OTAs that you can be on. But of course, everybody knows Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, but don't sleep on the niche OTAs as well.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Make sure to diversify.
Yes.
Thank you so much again, TJ. And thank you to our audience for staying tuned to this episode. We are going to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.